Our State of the U.S. segment tonight, a new study from the American Legislative Exchange Council has found that conservative states are more prosperous than liberal states. According to research, states with lower taxes and fiscally responsible policies experience far more economic growth and job creation than their high-tax, big government counterparts. With me now to break this down, chief economist at the American Legislative Exchange Council, one of the authors of the study himself, Jonathan Williams. Jonathan, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me tonight.
All right, Jonathan, you've gotten a lot of accolades for rich state, poor state, so congratulations on that. Tell our viewers what's in this.
Well, thank you. This is the 10th year of the study that we've put together. What we do is basically measure how Americans are voting with their feet, voting with their pocketbooks, and moving from high-tax liberal states to low-tax conservative states over time. And it's really incredible to see the numbers. Millions of Americans over the years have moved. They're taking jobs with them. They're taking their charitable contributions with them. And as a result, Texas, Florida, Arizona, these states, they're growing much faster, and they're the powerhouse states today. It's not New York and California anymore.
Right, it's so interesting. I mean, that's how our system of federalism was set up. This is how it was supposed to work. States were supposed to be the laboratories of democracy, and gasp, we were supposed to use competition to determine what policies work, what mistakes were made that didn't work, and what policies should be adopted because of that. Jonathan, I think people want to know where their states rank. Tell me what some of the most competitive, the most prosperous states are.
This year, Utah gets the honor for being first in the nation for economic outlook, and they've been that way all 10 years of this report, which is really remarkable. They've had a flat tax, they've kept taxes and spending in check, and they've done the one thing that so many states and cities have not done yet, and that is reform these hugely unfunded pension obligations that threaten places like Illinois, Detroit, Puerto Rico, certainly. Utah's got ahead of the curve. Indiana, North Carolina, North Dakota, Tennessee all round out the top five. And, guess what? Those are all states that value fiscally conservative policies. It really does work.
Right. I was hoping that you would say my home state of Ohio. I'm a little disappointed that didn't make the list, but maybe I'll blame a little bit Governor Kasich on this. Which states are the least competitive?
Well, probably no surprise to your audience that New York is 50th out of 50. I mean, this philosophy of theirs that they've followed for so many years, which is raise taxes on everybody, let's continue to spend at high levels, and then they have this TV ad campaign they're running across the country, and really cronyism, where they're trying to pick winners and losers through the tax code and reward certain businesses or certain industries that have the best lobbyists up in Albany. So it's them, New Jersey, Vermont, Connecticut, California round out the bottom five.
Right, and it's funny that you mentioned that ad campaign, because as soon as you said New York, that's actually what came to my mind. I live in California, and I've seen that ad where they're trying to encourage small business owners to open a business in New York. I always think whenever I see that, who would want to do business in New York? That's the worst place to possibly do it. Jonathan, let me ask you about the trends here. I'm sure that this is a big part of rich state, poor state, but what trends? I mean, is it just spending and taxes and regulatory reform that make states the most competitive versus ones that have a more big government approach make them less competitive?
Well, generally that's certainly true, but a couple of things that we point out in this report, and we have over the last 10 years that matter the most, is right to work. This has been something that's been going on. My home state of Michigan became a right to work state just several years ago. We've seen 6 or 7 states over the last few years give their employees the freedom to work and not have to join a union if they don't want to. Should be a basic American right, I would think. The second thing is states that avoid income taxes on personal income, like Texas and Florida. This is one of the most key attributes to being a successful state in rich states, poor states. In fact, this is remarkable. Over the last 20 years of data that we now have, the states without personal income taxes, like Texas and Florida, have grown jobs nearly 3 times faster than the states with income taxes. If it's so simple, it seems like, but I wish more states got that message of Texas and Florida.
Right. My reaction to that is, oh, shocking. When people don't have to pay as much taxes, they want to actually work in that state. You'd think that would be a no-brainer. What kind of results have you seen just in the theme of the fact that states are the laboratories of democracy? Have you seen states or governors of states adopt policies that they've seen worked in other states because of your report?
Well, this has been really exciting, and I've been an author of this report for 10 years now, and it's been so gratifying to see governors and state legislators all across America, I've been to all 50 states now, take this message to heart to say we need to reduce taxes, we need to be more efficient with the tax dollars that we have, because we're not just competing against our neighbors, we're competing against states all across the country. And this concept of laboratories of democracy is very powerful because that's where the jobs are going, that's where Americans are voting with their feet, and that's where the greatest economic success has been seen.
Right. So are you gonna mail this to Governor Jerry Brown of California? Just give him a little push, light a little fire under his tail, see if you can make some difference out here?
Hey, we mailed him a copy. I haven't heard anything back yet, unfortunately.
Well, he needs it. He needs it. The taxes are outrageous out here. This is so interesting to me. One of the reviews that I saw, and this is the one I like the best, and of course, I like this person as an individual, but Arthur Brooks said that this report helps determine which policies best empower citizens to earn their own success. Jonathan, that's kind of a lost idea, that citizens make their own way, that we're responsible for our own destiny instead of relying on government. But it's what your empirical evidence does show.
Well, it's so clear because when a wealthy individual or a business picks up and leaves and goes from one state to another, like we find in rich states, poor states, they don't just take their jobs with them, they take their charitable contributions with them. So let's say a millionaire leaves New York and goes to Florida, like so many do, they start to support the Boys and Girls Club of Florida and stop supporting the Boys and Girls Club of New York in so many cases. So the idea of the morality of capitalism, like Arthur Brooks talks about, is absolutely borne out in our results from the 50 states.
Right, it's absolutely remarkable. And I would just give a little tip to our viewers here. If you live in a liberal state and you don't like what your representatives are doing or what your governor is doing, get a copy of this report. Just send it to them. A little passive aggression never hurt anyone. Jonathan, thanks so much for being on the show. It was great to talk to you.